The point that I wanted to make with Abraham briefly is this, that Abraham, when he's in the land of Canaan, before, it goes down all the way to Joseph, and then the famine comes, and then they're in Egypt, and 400 years of slavery and bondage there. One of the things that God says to Abraham is this. He says, you will die at a good old age. But there's going to be strife. There's going to be warfare. What's going to happen is that all these people, you're a sojourner amongst a pagan people in the land of Canaan. All these pagan Canaanite tribes. Your descendants will drive them out. But God specifically says in the book of Genesis to Abraham, it's not going to happen for a long time. And God actually goes even further, more specificity, and says 400 years. And he says this, he says, because the fullness of their iniquity, these Canaanite pagan tribes, is not yet full. That God is slow to anger, he is long-suffering, he is abundantly patient, God is waiting. These Canaanite tribes, they're pagan, they're idolatrous, they're worshiping false gods, they're doing all these terrible things, and yet God is patient and slow to anger, and he waits intentionally, none of it by accident, he waits 400 years. So while Israel is in bondage for 400 years in Egypt, God is patiently waiting. That would be approximately 40 years as a generation in biblical terms. 400 is 10 generations. 10 generations of rank pagan wickedness with the Canaanites in the land of Canaan before God finally fits them the bill and says, all right, it's time to pay the piper. You've been wicked long enough, and now you're going to receive my judgment. And he brings this judgment through Israel, through conquest. And I say all this because we have to have a true biblical understanding. God is not sending Israel to go and slaughter women and children who are just these sweet, kind, wonderful people, and isn't God mean and a bad guy? That's not what's going on. God is bringing judgment, not even swiftly. God is bringing judgment after 400 years of pagan idolatry, worshiping false gods, and not just that, but violent, sexually immoral, child sacrifice, adult human sacrifice, polygamy, all these different things, slavery, all these wicked things are happening with these tribes in Canaan, and God lets it happen. Lets anyone say that God is rash or that God is cruel. He allows their wickedness to take place for 400 years. And then, and only then, does he finally bring the consequence. He says, that's enough. And he gives the same stipulations to his own people, Israel, and says, don't think that you're somehow unique. If you live the way that they lived, then the land will spew you out also. The same kinds of judgments will come upon your head if you don't continue in keeping steadfast covenant with me as the only true God.